Survival games have always held a special place in my heart. They're definitely one of my favorite game genres of all time because they're extremely replayable, and I like games where I have a long-term goal, like building a base, finding who took my son, or just planning out meals to survive in the Canadian wilderness for as long as possible. Returning at each gameplay session to continue where you left off is a super satisfying experience, especially in games where you have full freedom to play however you want. That is the utter beauty of survival games, and that's why I always come back to them. I have played most of the popular ones like The Long Dark, Stranded Deep, Rust, The Forest, and pretty much all the rest of them, but there's one that I've always held off on for literally no reason at all. Subnautica looked like a cool game, and it looked like something that I would enjoy playing. Way back when it first came out, I remember watching a Jacksepticeye series on it, and it was pretty freaking epic. But I just never purchased it and actually played it for myself. I don't know if it was from a lack of multiplayer or if I was simply preoccupied with other games, but it never appeared in my Steam library until recently. And after an hour or so of initially slow gameplay, I fell in love with this epic underwater exploration game, and it moved up on my list as another one of my favorite survival games, passing The Forest and Rust and being up top with The Long Dark. It's a truly amazing and unique experience, and it's one that I recommend to anybody giving survival games a shot. But I'm sure you want to know why it's so awesome and what's so good about it. So I'm going to tell you exactly that in today's video, talking about why Subnautica is so awesome. If you enjoy, drop a like on this video to show your support and help the algorithm, and subscribe to see more videos like this. As always, we're going to start by talking about Subnautica as a whole and what the game is about. From there, we're going to go into detail about the specific mechanics, features, and aesthetics that go on to make it a polished masterpiece. Subnautica is a single-player survival game set on a strange alien ocean planet, with miles and miles of oceans being the only landmarks for as far as the eye can see. After an intense crash landing of your ship, the Aurora, you barely get away with your life and end up in a lone escape pod in the middle of nowhere. Your goal from this point on is to investigate the planet, discover the strange alien species and the lore, and survive for as long as possible, all while staying underwater and making do with what you have. It's an interesting concept, and it's one of the only games that I'm familiar with that allows you to play and survive without stepping foot on land. There's underwater base building, exploration, a fairly complex crafting system, a story, a surprisingly large amount of lore, and lots of interesting things to do. Just like any survival game, you're bound to be intrigued with what's going on, and you're going to try your hardest to make the best out of a dire situation. But Subnautica is much different than many other survival games, and it's not one that you can compare to anything else. The excitement and fear that comes with exploring an underwater environment can't be matched, and it is a great experience. Many games don't know how to pull off an underwater world. In fact, I can't even think of one that does it well except for Subnautica. And this brings me to my first thing that makes this game so awesome, the world itself. Within the ocean that you have to survive in, there are over 30 different biomes. Yes, you heard that right, 30 different biomes. Ranging from the shallow, safe, and sandy starting region, and going all the way to underwater luminescent caves and sketchy depths, there are countless different environments to explore. Each environment has different life forms, resources, and experiences, and exploring them is always interesting and bound to keep you on the edge of your seat. For example, in the Jelly Shroom Caves, you'll find a beautiful array of cool-looking plants and animals, and absolutely terrifying giant worms, and other noises that will make you want to turn around instantly. In the Kelp Forest, you can find pieces of the Aurora's wreckage, creatures known as stalkers, and lots of other plant life that you can use in crafting recipes. And in the Crash Zone, you can find the Reaper Leviathan, which will absolutely make you want to turn off the game and curl up into a little ball, vouching to never play video games again in your life. But we'll get to that in a second. Each of these regions are part of a big open world, and there are no loading screens or anything like that when you're exploring them. And that's a good thing, because you're going to be in and out of each of these regions quite often. As you progress through the game, you're going to want to unlock new recipes for base parts, vehicles, equipment, and more. You find these recipes by scanning pieces of the wrecked Aurora, and different regions will have different recipes that you need to unlock. And they do get harder to find as more rare recipes are in deeper and more dangerous regions. You can travel between these regions by swimming, using a sea glide, which is like a little motorized thingy, a sea moth, which is a small submarine, and a cyclops, which is a big submarine that you could also use as a base. The further you get away from the starting sandy area, the more dangerous it becomes, and then you begin to find out how freaking scary this game actually is. When I say that this game is scary, it is an understatement. Subnautica is terrifying. I've grown up in Florida my entire life, and I've spent a lot of time in the ocean. However, after playing this for 20 hours, I don't know if I'm ever going to go back in it again. The developers of this game really did a good job at making the deep blue ocean as intimidating as possible. As you venture further away and begin to go deeper and deeper into the abyss, the creatures that you find start to intensify. You will inevitably come across the Reaper Leviathan, but not right away. It's almost guaranteed that you'll first be teased with a few long-distance sightings of them, and when you see them, you don't want to go any closer to begin with. The absolute terror of this game is another thing that is done perfectly and another thing that is so freaking awesome. Throughout your time on the planet, you'll hear lots of roars and sounds that are extremely intimidating. You constantly feel like you're being watched, and the presence of these sounds will make you question what else is truly out there. On top of this, as you venture into the more dangerous regions, the music often intensifies and becomes creepy, the sounds increase, and your visibility goes down to nothing. These things combined make you stay on edge throughout the experience, and it makes it much more tense and exciting to adventure into the unknown. On top of this, the game builds off of this aspect and often makes it even scarier by adding automated messages that come up saying things like,
Leviathan class, life forms in the region. Are you certain whatever you're doing is worth?
These things make it known that what you're about to do is risky and that maybe you should question turning around. On top of the Reaper Leviathan, there are actually some other monsters that are even scarier. But these ones are rare and honestly super exciting to experience for the first time, so I don't want to ruin them for you. But just be prepared because you're going to need to change your shorts after they get you. Any other survival game that I can think of off the top of my head will give you an incentive to fight the bad guys. You want to kill them to get some resource or to create peace of mind. But Subnautica does exactly the opposite, and it makes it to where you don't want to fight the things that you come across. Killing a monster gives you nothing, and there will be plenty more of them to take their place. This shifts the focus of the game to staying alive and staying smart instead of just strengthening yourself to become invincible. It makes it to where the challenge and the fear that I mentioned earlier is always there. You never quite get comfortable coming across a Reaper Leviathan because you never really have a chance to kill it, making it seem less scary. It's the complete opposite. And that's another thing that is so awesome. The world and environment are extremely intriguing, but that by itself isn't usually enough to make a game worth buying. But mixed with the survival aspects found in Subnautica, it creates a very good time. The survival experience in this game is top-notch, and the developers did a good job at balancing the different mechanics to change up the gameplay constantly. The main gameplay loop consists of scavenging the Aurora, building a base, upgrading things, finding new parts, and then continuing your adventure further and further into the depths once you increase your capabilities. The base building is some of my favorite in any survival game that I've ever played for a few different reasons. First of all, your base is always modular. Everything can connect to every other thing, and you can design your base to your liking, all while keeping a very satisfying aesthetic. When it comes to the specifics of what you can do with your base, there's a wide range of options. It does start out pretty simple, but once you explore and find new recipes for new modules, you can build things like vehicle bays and nuclear reactors, and your base can develop into a full-blown underwater science station. On top of this, you're going to want to build multiple bases throughout your experience where you can have things like battery recharging stations for your vehicles and places to spend the night when it gets dark and you're too scared of all the noises. Or if you want to go a completely different route, you can even make do with a mobile base in a giant submarine if you want to risk it. On top of the base building, the gathering mechanics are also fairly simple but complex enough to be exciting. Different regions have different resources, and harvesting them isn't that complicated. There's only a few different nodes that can give you minerals, and the difficulty of the region that you're in changes which nodes can be found. You don't have to mine tons of rocks just to find what you're looking for, and it's easily known which tier of node gives which type of resource. When it comes to food and water, you do all of that by fishing and fabricating the fish into what you need, or later on you could build a farm. The food and water does run out fairly quickly, which does get annoying in the early game, but it isn't ever proving to be a problem. And finally, the crafting is pretty great. It's not overly complicated, and you can do it all in one place on your fabricator. Every recipe shows what's needed, and the GUI is extremely simple and easy to use, so if you want to get some new equipment or craft some cool gadgets, you can do it all with ease. These simple mechanics mixed with the epic underwater environment and extremely atmospheric and immersive experience helps to make this game such a masterpiece. But there's one more thing that people often don't think about when it comes to the positive aspects of the game: the story. Subnautica does in fact have a story, starting with a crash landing on the planet and progressing until you can find a way off of it. I'm not going to spoil it for you because it's actually extremely interesting, but it is satisfying, and the dream of making it off the ocean planet alive to see what else is out there is truly amazing, and it keeps you wanting to do all of the things mentioned above in order to get to that point. It mixes perfectly with a stunning world and amazing mechanics to create a great one-of-a-kind survival experience. And add the VR aspect into it, and oh my god, you are going to die and go to heaven. Subnautica is an outstanding game, and it is definitely worth a purchase. You can easily get 50 plus hours out of it, and it goes to show that early access games sometimes can be good. If you ever feel like trying out a new survival game, I would recommend putting this one on the top of your list. Anyways guys, that's going to be it for today's video, so I hope you all enjoyed. What are your thoughts on Subnautica? Is the game truly as scary as I say it is, or am I just overhyping it? And what other games would you like me to make a video on? Let me know in the comments, and be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys next time, and peace.